Hello everyone, today is part 2 of how to create a dependent drop-down list for salary structure. So as a recap, remember last time we look at like for example Canada and India, and then we have different salary structures for them. We have different grades for them, and we were able to create a drop-down list based on the specific country by using data validation and using the indirect function and use the named range for India and Canada to have the dependent drop down. This time, today, I'm going to show you a more advanced technique for the same thing, which is, well, if you can't name your range exactly as it looks, how would you do? So it's still the same type of exercise today, just more complex. So you see, as an example, I have 4 countries this time, and the country names are, like you see, they have 2 parts or 3 parts or even brackets. And then for each of the countries, I also have different grades for them and different ranges, of course. And I want to be able to say that, okay, for my country, I have a drop down list of all my countries, and then for the grades, whatever country I choose, I have the respective job grade drop down list for them, and I want to be able to VLOOKUP my salary structure as in the part 1. So how do we do that? The first step is actually always organize your salary structure in a way that's friendly for VLOOKUP, which is something like this. So you always have your country name. On one side, you have your grades like this, and your minimum, mid, and max here. I have demonstrated how to do this in part 1, so I wouldn't repeat it here. But the key here is to make sure you have the VLOOKUP code so that you know for every country and every specific grade, you have a unique lookup value here. So we have done this for all the 4 countries. And then let's come back here. And then the second step is to create the drop-down list for the countries, which is actually relatively easy. The way I would always do is to go to the column that have all the countries, and then just copy it somewhere, and then go to data and remove duplicates for the selection. And then you have a list of your countries, all the countries like here. So now we have the unique value for the 4 countries. Let's go back to the value where we want to have the drop down, select it, and then go to data validation, go to allow list, and then go to source. Source is where we go back to what we just did, select the ranges, make sure it's absolute value. So as your row goes down, the reference does not change. So here it goes. So now you see you have this drop down arrow here, which allow you to just select the 4 countries, and then you can really simply just copy it down, and you would have the country selection for all the countries that you want. Yeah, so that is how we do the country selection, the country drop down list. Now comes to the third step, which is actually naming the job grades for each of those countries. So this is the part of the named range. And again, if you're not familiar with it, I have a video just dedicated on this on the top right, and you can view it for more detail. But essentially, the next step for me is that for each of those job grades drop down, I'm going to name it according to the country code. So let's go back to this tab where we have everything set up. So for example, we want to make sure that whenever we select country of El Salvador, we have the drop down of 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 9 showing in the drop down there. So let's name it. But you see, when you name it, select it, and then you can just write your name here. But then here, the trick is, if you just write it like exactly like that with space, and I actually have a spelling mistake, and then you press enter, you see they actually give this sign that you can't name it. And the reason for that is you have a space in your name. So how can you still name it? The common way to do it is usually add an underscore. So it's not a space. So if you add an underscore, El Salvador, and then you press enter, here you go. So now you have named it successfully as El Salvador. And for United Kingdom, for example, let's say we want to do the same. So instead of United space Kingdom, we have United underscore Kingdom, and then press enter. So here you go. So now you have named the two drop-down list range for those two countries. So that's the first case that we just described. And then you can definitely do the same thing for the rest of the countries, but then I'm going to show you more different ways to do it, so that when you solve your own problem, you have more tools in your toolbox. So let's say for United Arab Emirates, we do not want to use underscore. Maybe we just want to name it as UAE for short. And that is totally fine. And then let's say we just want to name UAE, just type in UAE and then enter. And here you go, you have the UAE drop down list for the grades. And then let's say for another, for a third option is that you have this United States of America and then brackets USA as your country name for whatever reason. And then instead you can definitely name it as USA, for short. And then here you go. And then actually, so now you have 4 names here, and then you can see USA here. So that is how you can name your grade, the grade drop down list. So now comes to the fourth step, which is how do we link all the ranges that we just named to the drop down lists. So that is actually where this long formula comes in. You can, I have it as a text here so you can understand my logic there. It is, and also you can see it in the formula bar there. So I'm going to explain to you what I'm trying to do here, but this is like this formula from this equal sign to the end. This is essentially what I'm going to copy into the job grades table. You see, I go to data validation, and I copy the formula in here. I go OK, and then you see I have the drop down of 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 9 for El Salvador, and you see I have exactly what I want for United Kingdom. I have exactly what I want for UAE and the okay, so it looks like United States, we have some issue there. So let's see how we got to the 3 steps first. So so let's look at the formula here. So my formula here, remember, as a recap, remember what we did for India and Canada. We use an indirect function and then just indirect to the country name. The indirect country, so that when we refer to India, it refers to the Indian named range. However, in our case here, we have like El Salvador and United Kingdom, but then the difference is that the country name has space in it, but then our named range has underscore in it. So in order to make it work, what we need to do is actually look at this part. Look at the part where, let me see how I can highlight it for you. So this part. So we're saying that we want to have the indirect function for the named range, but then whenever you encounter a space, we need to use a substitute function. So whenever you encounter a space in your country name, substitute it to the underscore. So actually, let me show you. Let me break down this full function for you to show you how it works. So let me see. So first, I need to remove the data validation here for those ones. So this part of the formula here, if we just copy it here, and then you go enter, you see it's actually changing the reference from this to this. And this is actually exactly the name of the named range that we name. So we are giving Excel the order that, okay, if you see a space in my country name, substitute it to the underscore, and then use the indirect function to return the named range for me, which is exactly the salary job grades that we want. And then this is actually exactly the same case for United Kingdom as well. So that is the first part of this formula. And then the second part, the if bracket here is that, well, if this formula, if the country name is this, which you see I actually typed the entire name into it, which is, well, if my tax is this, then you return the UAE name, the range of UAE for me. And then what is that? The UAE named range is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So actually the formula is saying that return the UAE named range for me in this cell, and that is how we got to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we want. And then the last one is the United States of America. So of course we can do the same thing. We can say, okay, if our name is country name is United States of America bracket USA bracket, and then we can also say indirect USA, and then it's gonna return us this job grades for us. But then I'm also showing an alternative way to do it, which is actually finding out where the USA tax is in your original tax, and then use this part to refer to as your named range with the indirect function. So this is exactly this part that I'm trying to do here. So what I'm trying to do here is to find out and basically retrieve the USA tax from the original tax. So this is the formula that I'm using here. So actually now I see where the issue is. Remember the first time when we run it, it didn't work. It is actually because I have B6 reference here, but then I have B7 reference here, and when it's actually should refer to the same. So in this case, for row B9, it is my USA. So this formula, in this formula, I'm saying that I want the middle tax from for this original tax, which is B9, and I want it to start from this number of digits. And what is this number of digits? This number, the first part is, okay, first I want to find out how many digits they have, this tax have, and then using the len function, which actually, let me break it out. So the len function returns how many digits this have, like this original tax have, which is 30. So So now I'm saying that I only want the USA part. So I'm saying that return the 28th starting. See the prompt here, like starting. So I want to look at B9 cell and then return to me the 27th, like 30 minus 3 equals 27th. Start from the 27th digit 4 of the text, and then return to me only the next 3 number of characters in this text. And this is how we get the USA from out of this text. And then remember, we named it as USA. We named our job grades Dropdown as USA, and then this part now is filled into this indirect function, which is saying that, okay, now you find the name, it's called USA, then with the indirect function, return the named range of the USA for me there. So this is essentially how this part works. So let's have a recap of the overall formula here. So it actually has 3 layers. So the first layer is saying that if your country code is USA, then give me this named range. Otherwise, if your country name is UAE, then give me the UAE range. Otherwise, if it's not either of those two, then return me the range that has the underscore replacement there. So this is essentially how this formula works. So you see, that's the bug part, and I'm gonna copy this formula and then turn it into the data validation range, and then just repaste my formula, and then go OK. And here we go. And then also remember, when you paste in the name, remember like the B6 is always like, that's the reference, that's the relative reference. So when you copy it down to 7 to the 7th row, then it should go copy as 7. So now let's do it again. Let's see. So we have the right drop down for all those countries, and then you see now we have the right drop down list for USA as well. So this is exactly how we want it to work, and now of course we can change the grades as we want. So now let's delete this column because I was only using that for explaining the how we got to this core data validation formula. And then now the only thing left to us is really just try to VLOOKUP the seller structure, and then basically let's just do that again. VLOOKUP, we want to combine this country code and job code, and then we go to sheet 2 where we look up for from column B to column G, and then we know that the minimum is in the column 4. It is in the 4th column if you look at the top help box there. And then we want to look for column 4, and then we want it to be absolute, we want it to be the exact match, and it is not working there. And the reason for that was that we didn't have grade 4 in El Salvador. Like, that is just not allowed, which is an interesting thing because it's not supposed to give me 5 if we don't have it there. So now it gives me 3. Yep, and then let's just and let's check El Salvador job grade 3. It gives us 50, 60, and 80, which is exactly what's showing here. And then now let's copy down the formula. For UK, it really should be only from 7 to 10, and then this is how this part would work. So as a recap, in this video, I'm showing you 3 more advanced ways to use the indirect function and to find a dependent, to create a dependent drop-down list, and then you can just use all the drop-down grids to look up the salary structure as you need. If you find this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to my channel. If you have any question, please leave a comment and I'll be happy to answer it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.